Hello, my name is John Bannon. I'm an attorney and philosopher. In this video today, I'm going to explain how superdeterminism is supported by light speed. When I talk about superdeterminism, I'm referring to a unique version of superdeterminism proven by Swedish theoretical physicist Dr. Johan Hansen in 2020. He applied Einstein's special relativity, namely the relativity of simultaneity, to what is already known about the correlations observed in the spin measurement results of entangled particles to prove that cause and effect in physics cannot be real, and instead we must live in a predetermined static block universe without cause and effect in physics. The speed of light happens to be constant for all observers, regardless of the velocity of the observer. Now, this is very peculiar and unlike everything else in the universe, where the velocity of the observer is not added to the velocity of the object, in this case, light, leaving it. So, for example, if you had a baseball and you were on top of a moving train and you threw that baseball at a person who was a bystander on the side of the train watching the train go by, that baseball would hit that person not just with the velocity at which you threw it, but the added velocity of the moving train. Light is different than that. Light does not add that velocity into its speed. It's always the same speed, regardless of the velocity of the person who's moving it. So, for example, if you were riding a bike at 20 miles per hour and you had a headlamp, you turn the headlamp on, and there was somebody in front of you measuring the speed of light from that headlamp. The speed of light they measure would not be the ordinary speed of light plus 20 miles per hour. It would just be the ordinary speed of light. And it wouldn't matter how fast you were traveling on that bicycle. This peculiar property of the constancy of the speed of light is what prevents backwards time travel. Now, why is this? Well, if you can imagine a stationary object going faster and faster and faster and faster, approaching the speed of light, what would happen is its time relative to observers in other inertial frames of reference would appear to slow down. And as it approaches the speed of light, its time would slow further and further and further until it approached the speed of light. And light doesn't experience time. Time has stopped for light. So what happens is anything with mass that's moving closer and closer to the speed of light, its time slows down. But it can't actually reach the speed of light because it would require an infinite amount of energy to move an object that fast. And there isn't an infinite amount of energy in the universe to be had in order to do that. So essentially, what happens in our mathematics is as you approach the speed of light, time slows down till you reach light itself, in which time, the photon does not experience time at all. But if you go past that speed, the speed of light, the only direction left to go is for time to go backwards. So theoretically, mathematically, if you were able to approach the speed of light where time stops and then go faster than the speed of light, the only place you could go is backward in time. So the constancy of the speed of light is what prevents backwards time travel. But you may ask yourself, well, why does the universe need to be protected from backwards time travel? Um, that's a good question, since backwards time travel doesn't occur. But if it did occur, what would happen? Well, one thing that would happen is that future events could travel into the past and thereby alter those things that made them exist in the first place, essentially erasing their own history. So that's a paradox. So that's one thing that um, the constancy of the speed of light prevents, which is these logical paradoxes, like the grandfather paradox. That is, you going backwards in time to a time where your grandfather lived before he met your grandmother, and then you shoot him dead, and then as a result, you can't exist. But it's a paradox because you had to exist in order to shoot him dead. So the constancy of the speed of light prevents those sorts of paradoxes. The constancy of the speed of light is also the result of the fact that in a predetermined static block universe, without cause and effect in physics, then it is not possible to actually cause a change to the past through a backwards time traveling event. Because without cause and effect in physics, there's no way to change a predetermined static past. So, um, the constancy of the speed of light protects the universe. But if it's protecting the universe, then these past events which it's protecting must still exist in order to need protecting. So if past events simply disappeared from reality through the causal sequence of cause and effect and an unfolding of time, or this forward progress or march of time, then past events wouldn't be there in order for any need for them to be protected from future events to arise. So the fact that the constancy of the speed of light protects the universe, especially past events, shows that these past events must still exist in order for them to need to be protected. However, if past events still exist, then they coexist with one another in the past. But if they coexist with one another, they don't need to cause one another. So, for instance, if you had event A in the past, which supposedly caused event B in the past, and both these events still exist in the past, then there's no need for A to cause B because they both exist. So you don't need causation or cause and effect where the past is still a reality. So the constancy of the speed of light by protecting past events also implies that cause and effect in physics, at least with regard to past events, does not exist. It's not real. However, if uh, past events existed without cause and effect, then you would be talking about an eternal static block universe without cause and effect in physics. So that means a block universe that has always existed. But if it's always existed, it wouldn't need any protection. There's nothing threatening its existence because it always exists. So the fact that the constancy of the speed of light protects the universe indicates that the universe cannot be an eternal static block universe, even though cause and effect in physics are not real, which leaves only one option, and that is that the universe must have been non-temporally created outside of space-time. In other words, it's not a creation caused by cause and effect in time. It's a creation of the whole block universe outside of space time. However, that means that you need a God to create such a universe. And the reason is because without cause and effect in physics, nature doesn't have the power to create anything, let alone a static block universe. Which means that if the static block universe was nonetheless non temporally created, then you need a God or a supernatural force in order to do that. And moreover, that supernatural force would have to know of and understand the block universe that it was going to create before it created it, including all the advanced technologies that exist in that static block universe, which means that creator would have to be supremely intelligent by definition. So um, the constancy of the speed of light not only shows that cause and effect in physics are not real and that we live in this superdeterministic universe, and not only does it support the existence of the non temporal creation of our static block universe without cause and effect in physics, it also supports the existence of a supremely intelligent creator or God necessary to create our block universe non temporally outside of space time. All right, I'll give you a second to read the board. Uh, okay, I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to find Dr. Hansen's proof, it's in the peer reviewed physics journal, Physics Essays, Volume 33, Number 2, 2020. All right, take care, everyone.